Next, how U.S. involvement in Iraq is playing in a New York State House race. It's the 29th district, stretching from Rochester to the Pennsylvania border. I traveled there last week to file this Choices 06 report.
Good. Bruce, how are you?
Congressman.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
In any other midterm election year, Republican freshman Randy Cool might have little trouble retaining his congressional seat.
This is my mom, Beth. Randy Cool.
After decades in the state assembly and Senate, Cool, here at the Grape Festival in Naples, is well known in his western New York district. It's one of the largest east of the Mississippi and one of the poorest in New York State. It's lost thousands of high-paid manufacturing jobs in recent years, but has remained solidly Republican. But opinion polls reflect what's being seen in many other parts of the country. The war in Iraq and the president's low approval ratings are making life tough for Republican incumbents this year.
Though they plot.
With nothing less than Republican control of Congress at stake, Vice President Cheney gave the Cool campaign a personal boost last week, headlining a fundraiser that reaped $175,000 for Cool's campaign. Political scientist Jim Bowers of St. John Fisher College said Cool's appearance with Cheney may have been a gamble in the current political climate.
If I had been advising him, I would have said, support the White House if you feel you need to, but stay away from the personalities. And basically explain your war record, come home, do what we call home style, explain your votes, explain why you're supporting, but then basically avoid the being seen with these people.
When we caught up with Cool at Farm City Day in North Cohocton,
Stephanie, Randy Cool, how are you?
to ask him about the Iraq War, he was unwavering in his position.
I don't see us sending up the white flag and walking away and encouraging, these radical Muslims, the jihadists, to actually come in and have a safe haven for all of them, take over a country that they then can launch attacks not only on us, but some of our other allies who are there too.
Well, there's some good-looking T-shirts.
But Cool's Democratic opponent also takes the war issue head-on. Eric Massa is a political newcomer, but he's also a retired career naval officer and Gulf War vet.
The veterans alone can deliver a new majority in the House of Representatives.
He constantly refers to his decades in uniform, especially his time as an assistant to General Wesley Clark in Bosnia. And at Veterans Memorial Park outside of Rochester last week, amid the sizzle of burgers and dogs on the grill, Massa argued his military credentials make him immune to Republican attacks.
And stop calling us cowards. Stop calling us cut-and-run Democrats. We bring the real experience necessary to bring our troops home safe and sound, and furthermore, to defend our families, our communities, this district, our state, and this nation from attacks by terrorists. We need that leadership in Washington now more than ever, period.
Massa hopes disenchanted voters embrace his message that Cool is just a rubber stamp for the administration's bad decisions, especially the ones he's made concerning Iraq. But Cool gives his constituents more credit than that.
What I found in the course of my political career is that, for the most part, people are not what I would call one-issue candidates, supporters.
And the congressman says he shouldn't have to defend the decision to go to war because he wasn't in Congress when the decision was made.
You know, I wasn't there when the authorization was given to the president to move ahead with the war. My predecessor was. I don't know how quite frankly, I don't know how I would have voted. Well, I don't know what the intelligence was they saw, what they looked at, that sort of thing. So to try to second guess it, I think is, that's a political stunt, and I don't get into that.
My opponent just doesn't get it. And standing up and saying, well, I didn't vote for that, is a fundamental running away of responsibility. Either you are accountable or you're not. Oh, Chris, thank you. Thank you for helping.
Massa reminds constituents, like those attending a fundraiser in Pittsford, a Rochester suburb, that Congressman Cool gave a glowing progress report of life in Baghdad following a recent trip there. His comments came the same day several American generals in Washington testified the country was headed toward civil war.
For any individual in a position of elected responsibility to spend 16 hours in Baghdad and come back and tell us, and here are some paraphrases, your tax money is being well spent in Iraq, the troops are being well taken care of because I had lobster with them when I was there, we flew over the lush green countryside and all that was in peace. is absurd.
David Sanders, a university professor, asked Massa a question Democratic candidates across the country are grappling with: how to promote an anti-war message without sounding defeatist.
How will you talk about it in a way that can begin to make people think twice and get away from this automatic reaction? You're criticizing the president, you're criticizing the nation, you're against the nation at war. How do you talk about it?
Let me just say one thing very quickly. I am not against this nation at war. I'm against the war. Ethically, morally, strategically, tactically, economically, geopolitically, and militarily, this war is wrong. It's wrong for us, it's wrong for Iraq, it's wrong for the world. We are not fighting the people who killed us. We are not engaging and bringing to justice our enemies. We are, in fact, creating more of them every day than we could possibly ever kill. It is exactly the wrong thing to be doing.
Professor Jim Bowers said Massa does run the risk of turning off voters who may be unhappy with the war, but don't want to pull out haphazardly.
The military record only helps him if he's seen as taking a thoughtful, non-unilateral withdrawal approach to the war in Iraq. He doesn't want to be labeled as a Democrat who just wants to pull out. He has to be able to say, I can use my military experience as a way of making certain that as we leave in a way that's beneficial to the Iraqi people and beneficial to the United States.
Massa says in order for U.S. troops to begin leaving Iraq, the warring factions must be separated, as they were in Bosnia in the late 1990s. Iraq, he believes, must be split into 3 semi-autonomous regions to keep the Kurds, Shiites, and Sunnis from killing each other. That plan would backfire, according to Randy Cool. He said he discussed that option with an Iraqi Interior Ministry official during his visit.
He said there's no way that they could do that from a practical standpoint. It just wouldn't work out. And so it's just not even an option to them. And they are working toward a unified national government with inclusion of all the various sectarian groups. So I don't see any proposals at this point. I mean, that would just lead to people fighting over what's territory they get, and on and on and on. I see that as totally disruptive and not a responsible plan.
Great day.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Okay, appreciate it.
One highly prized constituency for both campaigns is war veterans. So on a morning when veterans were rallying in support of maintaining a veterans hospital in the district and increasing its funding for Iraq war veterans, both candidates were here and crossed paths.
Good to see you here.
Well, I've been here before. It's nice to see you here.
Good to see you. You going to sign on to mandatory funding for the VA with us?
You should know that I'm a co-sponsor of the bill. I've already signed on. I made that commitment several months ago.
I'd love to see you.
I don't need your request to do it. So
I'd
I've already
The
made
battle for veterans votes has heated up. Massa accused the Cool campaign of spreading rumors about the Democrats' years of service in the Navy, that in 24 years, he should have risen to a rank higher than commander. The Cool campaign denies employing any such tactic. However, the message is out in the 29th District. Cool supporter Anthony Santamauro, on the way home from the Cheney fundraiser, stopped to grab dinner to go at the Fish Fry, the American Legion Hall in Canandaigua. Santamauro answered a question about the importance of Massa's military experience.
What position did he have in the Navy?
He retired as a commander.
How many years was he in?
24, but I'm not sure all of that was
24
active
years
duty.
in the Navy, what
Yeah.
would you expect to get rank to?
Well, they say he would have made captain, except he took a medical, he's
I'll leave
retired.
it at that.
Well,
I think you see where I'm coming from.
I've seen the first attack ad.
Massa said Republicans are trying to swift boat him, the way they did to presidential candidate John Kerry in 2004. Before an audience of veterans and union workers in Montour Falls, he called Randy Cool out.
I will go anywhere in the 8 counties of the 29th Congressional District and lay my uniform with his 28 personal military decorations on any table next to any uniform he has ever worn, and there will only be one set of stripes on that table. I will no longer stand and tolerate any individual who has never worn a military uniform swift boating any veteran. That ends today.
Registered Republican Nancy Marion said she, for one, is tired of her party trying to paint Democrats as soft on terror.
I think that's bunk. I don't think the Democrats are ready to cut and run. I think they recognize that there is going to be no easy answer to the end of this war, but there needs to be two sides to the debate, two sides to the question. There needs to be some new ideas. There needs to be a national solution to Iraq, not just President Bush's solution, which is stay there, and stay there.
Nice to meet you, Eric Massa.
And that's why Nancy Marion said she's voting for Massa. But Kuhl argued it's too early to deem Iraq a failure, noting the new government has only been in office 4 months. However, he acknowledges